Matt Lieto here in Kailua, Kona, coming at you with some Ironman Insider podcast presented by Morton, special editions here for the Ironman World Championships Women's Edition. We're going to sit down today with Kat Matthews and Chelsea Sodaro and have a little chat about those two athletes and their goals for the race this weekend. Obviously, Kat Matthews still looking for that win. Chelsea Sodaro has one under her belt. Let's have a chat and see what they have to say. We're here with Kat Matthews, and I've been told I'm going to bring it and give you the hard questions. I don't think I have any hard questions. The first question is an easy question, and I ask everybody the same question. How is it being back in Kona?
Oh, it's actually really great. My immediate thoughts are, wow, I was not in a good place 2 years ago, and this year, yeah, really happy to be here.
You're we know the race didn't go well, but leading in, you didn't feel like you were in a good place 2 years ago?
I walked down the street to the King K 10 days out from the race and I just burst into tears. I was like scared for my life. It was a really hidden, traumatic experience. Those few weeks being back here 2 years ago, I'd created, or my mind had created, a real issue, a barrier, a problem with scenarios here, irrationally in terms of like fear.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was part of it, but a small part, I think, of the bigger picture of the failure in the race. But it was definitely a factor for my trip here 2 years ago. Was
some of that still like trauma from the last time you were here before 2 years ago? You were walking down a Lee Drive with the thing around your neck.
Again, this is a big reflection, and it's taken a while, but I think I had not realised that I was still holding on to some post-traumatic stress that I had associated with being here rather than 2 days earlier being in Texas.
Right.
Because my sort of memories were formed here. So the trip here 3 years ago after the crash was excellent, but there was definitely a sort of undertone side effect that I had created. This then is like this, I don't know, just something else, this big cloud of irrational issue and fear and potential problems that I then, after Kona 2 years ago, spoke to a psychiatrist about and very quickly was able to reprocess those memories and issues and sort of calm down the irrational side of the trauma.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it makes perfect sense, right? Like your nervous system was...
through the roof.
Yeah, through the roof. It had a negative reaction to this island. And obviously, in hindsight, you're like, no wonder I didn't have a race that was worth much, right?
Yeah, I mean, as well as that, when I got home, I had some blood tests because I was still feeling under the weather.
Yeah.
And I had some sort of raised inflammatory, like white blood cell markers and liver function markers. So obviously the liver plays a big part in carbohydrate utilization, and so it wasn't just the trauma, the psychology side. I think there was a fundamental issue with my health during that, which I think just the two of them really just collided. And I only made it, I think, about an hour into the bike before I just KO'd. So it's not, I knew that there was nothing that I did wrong, which was a nice sort of composure piece as well.
Yeah, it seems like when those two things collide, there's no winning that battle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
Okay. Oh. It didn't stop me beating myself up for about 3 months.
Yeah, I bet. So it was a process. Like obviously you made the right call and talked to somebody about it, but it still took a little bit of unraveling to get there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So all that behind, it's all fixed now, right?
Yeah. I think it also it means that you realize what normal is. Again, it's just like anything. Like when you dip below a normal level, you then are like, normal. And then when you're feeling good, you're like, whoa, feeling good.
Right.
So I'm just embracing that.
That's awesome. And not to dwell on that, but it's hard to differentiate, right? Like before a race, you're like, I should feel stressed out and nervous because I'm at a world championship, right? And like that feels a lot different to you now this year coming into the race.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the opportunity of it being a world championship. And I know people, use buzzwords because that's what they've been taught, but I genuinely feel that I feel like a novice I feel like it's something new to tackle, and I know for the first year, I think I really have this confidence of like, I've done everything I can to prepare the best I can for this race. So whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Is there a little bit of, like you said, the word novice, is there kind of a blessing to the fact that your race went upside down so early that you don't have like memories of the back end, or no?
I don't know. I think that would be scraping the barrel. I don't think there's a positive, really.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, there's a lot more reasons for you to have confidence and feel good coming into this race this year. I mean, the 2 years that have transpired since that race have been phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. And again, realistically, what was I expecting? Psychologically and physically, after a crash, that accident that broke a lot of things, you know, why did I, in hindsight, it makes me a bit embarrassed that I thought I was good to go. So yeah, 3 years down the line, I'm very confident with where my body is, where my mind's at, and I don't have that sort of worry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you showed that you were a contender coming in 2 years ago. You had some good results, and I think I appreciate you bringing it up, because I always want to bring up the crash, but it's funny. It's long enough out that it almost feels like we don't need to, but at the same time, it like, to me, that's what is so impressive about you as an athlete, is that, again, when I saw you on this walking 3 years ago, like, I was like, the fact that you were here and existing as a human was like as much as we could ask for. And it was impressive that you were surviving, and the fact that you've now brought yourself to this level, to a high enough level that we don't even think about that anymore, is, I think, pretty remarkable.
Yeah. And obviously I think about it. You know, someone asked me, actually, another pro just earlier in the week, like, oh, so you're just over all of that now? Like, does it bother you? And I said, oh, well, yeah, I mean, I don't reflect on it every day, but my training is always affected by it. As in, my back is sore now. It is like a factor. My neck flares, like, I have issues that I can associate to those injuries, but it doesn't change the way I live, I guess. So yeah, I'm happy for it to be part of my journey. And I'm really proud of my recovery from that. You know, part of my life is my background in the British Army as a physio. Yeah. And I learned so much from the sort of physical and mental side of treating military patients, that I feel so proud that I was able, or even like given the opportunity to really embrace that and sort of embody that myself. It also gives me a bit of freedom in terms of risk of, well, what's the worst that can happen? You know, I could get back from that. I obviously would never want to go through that again, but you know, what's the worst that can happen? So yeah, my rationality of fear is definitely changed. I think for the better.
Yeah, it's got to kind of reset also your pain tolerance, and we know pain is a big part of performance over the Ironman distance, right? Like, I imagine there's times where it gets hard and you're like, oh man, this isn't as hard.
I don't know.
No?
I don't know about that. I'm not one to enjoy the pain and suffering. I'm not that. That's not me. I know some athletes are like that, but I actively avoid that. I'm more of a control and composed kind of person, risk averse. And so, yes, I genuinely believe that I know what 10 out of 10 pain feels like, but equally, therefore, I would also maybe be more cautious to avoid it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, the race, let's talk about it. It seems like you are just continuing to be on an upswing, right? Your consistency has always been, I think, one of your biggest strengths, and it seems like it's, if anything, it's getting better, and the consistency is at a higher level. Are you feeling as the best athlete you've been coming into a world championship? Yeah,
and I think sometimes there's maybe because of COVID, I sort of came into the sport in a sort of convoluted way. Like, my first world champs should have been in 2020, but it was then St George in 2022 where I came second, sort of. And then obviously I had the accident, and then I sort of every year since then I've been able to find the podium. But my own personal performance data is obviously with the accident like fluctuated. So now with these 3 years of consistent progression, I do feel like I know I'm hitting better numbers across swim, bike and run. So that doesn't necessarily mean everything because everybody's got better. But I think comparatively I've been able to raise my my targets because I've been at the position where I've been like, no, actually it is achievable to exceed what the status quo is now. As in where, I don't know, using one example, it's not necessarily fair on her, but let's look at Taylor's bike. You know, she was winning all the races in 2024 on her bike. So it was like, right, I need to not only match her, I need to be exceeding what she's pushing, what she's delivering on the bike in a controlled way, because I still believe there's a good balance between the bike and the run. But I think that was something that was really motivating for this year, to be like, no, it's not about getting back to my level before the crash. It's like, right, where's the new level? It's above Taylor.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems to continue to be easier and easier to have that kind of motivation because the level in the sport on the women's side is ridiculous. Like your battle with Laura, that had to be like, after that, you're like, okay, this is what we need to do to like continue to be at this level, right? Yeah,
for sure. And there's always caveats, you know. I had hoped to run like that in Nice, but I didn't. So it's not like I suddenly made a big improvement in my run. You know, I'd just raced a marathon 5 weeks before Hamburg at Texas, where I was actually not very, I wasn't as run fit as I obviously would have wanted in April, and I semi-walked it, you know, there was issues there that were not caught on camera. So, it's not like it's just a steady, you know, there's always these ups and downs and fluctuations, and it takes a really special day for you to be able to show where you're at in your own performances. So Kona's a completely different beast, isn't it?
It certainly is. And I'm glad you brought that up, because looking at the race season, and, you know, everybody, that Hamburg stands out, as it should, because you and Laura and Solveig had ridiculous races, like mind-blowing runs and overall time, obviously. But I looked at it and I'm like, oh, she was at the Woodlands not far before that. So it seems like building in, you haven't raced an Ironman since Hamburg. Focus has been on Kona, and it feels like it's going well.
Yeah, totally. And I sat down with Mark and my bike coach Alex at the start of the year, and it was very much like, let's split this into two. You know, you've got Texas, and then you've got Kona. So Hamburg was the bonus race, which was a total bonus, and that's not devaluing that before. I'm really happy with how that went.
Sure.
But yeah, it's definitely been a deliberate ploy to sort of get through Hamburg and then offload, build again just for Kona. And it's actually been really fun. I know lots of people say, oh, I love racing, I want to race loads. I actually don't think I'm a racer. I think I actually more enjoy the training and the satisfaction out of the daily self-progression and trying to optimize, you know, sleep and diet and performance in training. Like, I really love that reward, like the end of the day satisfaction. The racing is a you know, gold star on top, sure, when it goes well, but it can be soul crushing as well. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a smart way to have longevity in the sport, is to not put everything and get all your satisfaction out of race day, right? Because sport can be the most beautiful thing on race day, and it can be tragic as well, right? So like evening that out. So every day in between the races, you're like, oh, this is a good day, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that also is scary, because essentially, you know, if we're looking old school at setting up a race calendar, Hamburg, which was, am I wrong, second fastest time ever over Ironman distance, was a B race.
Yeah, I was very motivated in that race to beat Laura.
Yeah.
There's no caveat about it.
Sure.
But yes, I think if you run a marathon 5 weeks after a marathon, there's challenges there.
Yeah, and a marathon, you said you weren't necessarily that prepared for the first one, right?
I think Texas has a funny spell over me. It seems to create issues. I know it looks like I do really well there, but every time I've raced there, there's something that's cropped up that I then have to overcome, and it looks great, but there's that, yeah. I created some drama during the race in my own mind that I had to rectify. Yeah,
I do love and really appreciate that about you, and that we're talking about trauma from the past affecting this race 2 years ago, and your gumption to be like, I'm going to go back to the place where that happened year after year and not let that like bring me down or hold me back. And I'm sure it's not easy, and that's why, to me, that's impressive, crazy.
I think I never associated the Texas with the accident. There is, or maybe I did. I'm not too sure. I haven't dwelled on that. The first time going back there, it was a challenge.
Sure.
But again, it wasn't something that was a problem, as in it was just this fleeting feeling of fear of death. But it was fleeting. But my happiness, the amount of positive memories that I've had in Texas with our homestay family there and the community in the woodlands and just the woodlands in general, it totally outweighs one little road, one man's decision not to pay attention. So I really like it there.
That's awesome. Okay, you're kind of your ability over the three disciplines has always been consistent, but it seems like everything is getting better, right? The swim to me has been very impressive over the last couple years. Training with Steph Clutterbuck this year, has that helped regain or gain some confidence in the swim?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the frustrating thing about triathlon is it's not always up to you, your swim performance in the race. With biking and running, running predominantly it's just you. Biking, there's an element of tactics and being in the pack and a legal drafting experience. Swimming is so tactical, so drafting, so lucky. Like, there's so many unknowns that I find that part challenging because it's not just you and your own best effort. So yes, training keeps progressing and I keep getting better, but I keep having bad swims as well. So I have the occasional swim where I'm like, yes, this is where I should, this is how I can swim. And then I'll have a swim like the practice swim yesterday where I'm like, crushed, like, brilliant, race over. So yeah, Steph has, honestly, she taught me so much this summer. She's an incredible person. And the biggest things I guess I took away was like the enjoyment of swim training. Let's leave the clock alone because we didn't have a clock, I'd just go off her times, whatever her watch is saying. And just focus on stroke, focus on breathing, composure, building into it, how you're connecting with like the skill of feeling the water. So yeah, I learned so much from her and mainly had the positivity around training. So I've thoroughly enjoyed that. And I'm actually a bit like, well, whatever the race happens, because I don't care, because I've really enjoyed swim training this summer.
That's great. And it's not easy to get to a point where you're like enjoying swim training because you're staring at a black line for an hour and a half.
Like I genuinely like, I really want to swim today. I've never had that before.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. And I had my first opportunity to sit down and chat with Steph yesterday. And, I was in tears sitting in this chair. Like, how you had to have like gotten a little bit of inspiration even from her and what she's doing. But like, that's what, like, you've dealt with similar challenges or very big challenges, but what she's dealing with is insane.
Yes. And I think, you can never compare. People's experiences of even similar things are different, but obviously is a completely different health issues that she's going through. And I think I just think, every day how much her experience of what she's going through that she's able to overcome is, it's real inspiring, and just being there to support her. I hope that's how she's felt. I really enjoy helping other people, and it's been really nice to feel like we've both helped each other in different ways.
It's clear she feels that way, so that's good. Good job.
Good.
So second at the last World Championship, very different course. That course seems to, in some ways, on the bike, be easier to like pick apart segment wise. Maybe tell us the difference about how like that course compares to this course and like how you prepare for it.
Yeah, I think obviously Nice and Kona, the bike course specifically, are just sort of polar opposites, right? Although people think the Kona bike course is flat and straight, it's not flat, it's just constant undulation. Some climbs that sort of, 10, 15 minutes of just climbing, but it's very shallow gradients, whereas Nice has significant sections of 1 hour climb out this TT position. So I think they're the big ones for me. There was a bigger element of power to weight, sort of statistically at Nice, and an element of different bar mechanics required for climbing versus time trialing. I think that's something I focused on for this year, was time trialing, and being very fast and powerful in position rather than getting just strong for 40 minutes to an hour climb. I think I benefited from Nice's technical sections, but actually I don't think I will lose that benefit here, because there's the wind, staying aero if there's wind, staying in the aero position and pushing power with the wind, headwind, side wind, curly whirly wind. I think that's a skill in itself. So yeah, I think they're just very different. And I don't like this, I'm suited to one course better than the other. I like the idea that you tackle what's in front of you as best you can. And the biggest factor, I think, is the heat. Even though Nice actually gave us some humidity, but you don't get sort of hot until you start getting to the top of the climb, I guess. This course, you're hot the moment you get out the swim. So I think that's my biggest challenge, is controlling my body temperature during the swim, T1, and then the first 10k of the bike in a way. But maybe I've just created that as a problem from last year, I'm not sure.
I think you got it. And you've had, am I right that this is, you're almost 2 years into new cycling coach?
9 months.
9 months. Okay, just 9 months. Sorry. Do you feel like that's settled in, and that like time trial effort, like you have more confidence coming into Kona knowing that you've done that specific preparation? Yes.
And there's been a few times where it's like, this is a set bike session specifically for the time trial bike. And I've been like, 6 hours, go, time trial bike. And it is a chore. Let's do this on the turbo in position, don't break position. Whereas before I sort of would hold myself accountable to that, but not, I'd decide. Whereas this is like, no, this is what you're doing. And I think also we've changed slightly my sort of aerodynamics, capitalising on Alex's experience. And again, I now don't fear putting my head down as much. So I physically can, and I don't fear it as much. So that was still something that I guess I didn't realise, but now I realise that I was holding back from being so closed off in the time trial position because of the way I was hit.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, as you said earlier, preparing for Nice and the dynamics of that course, it's not like you lose that coming to Kona. And the more you're just comfortable on a bike, the more you're comfortable on a bike, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's awesome. So you've had some run battles in the past. You had a run battle in Hamburg this year, and you had a run battle at Nice last year. It felt like a battle to me.
For an hour.
Yeah. On that point, is Kona a different race course? Where can you get yourself into trouble if you're like, I'm going to have a run battle, or is it you're racing, and that's kind of the deal?
Oh, I think that's the question of the race for me, and I guess I honestly don't know until Saturday. So I obviously haven't had the experience. I have no idea what it's going to feel like out there. I'm expecting to feel as awful as I did when I got off the bike in St George a few years ago. With zero confidence that I can even make it to the energy lab, let alone finish the race in a run battle. So I guess my gold standard would be, yeah, sure, I just run with whoever and I feel great. But I'm very aware that this climate, you can't necessarily do that. And people have won by holding back and being consistent, especially on the bike as well. So that's really interesting, the way like Annie won 1 year. So I'm not sure if the run battle, I don't know, I'm not sure if this is the course for it, but that would make me sad. It would be so cool, wouldn't it?
It would.
I'm not going to chase it. Here,
But the battle doesn't mean it has to happen in the first 10K, right? Like
I don't think it will happen in the first
yeah,
10K.
The run battle, like as you said, there have been people that have won this race from Energy Lab back, and it's them holding back a little bit on the bike and that first sections of the run where the people that get caught into that first 10K run battle.
Chat GPT told me that it would be around the 33K mark. So we'll see.
That's actually true?
Jen.
I love it. What did Chat GPT say you'd be happy with at the finish line?
I didn't ask it that.
Well,
it doesn't know me.
Let's ask you.
The statistics. I'll answer it not in an A-type way. Well, I want to win this race, but I wanted to win 2 years ago, and I wasn't able to even perform adequately. So I'm very grounded by the fact that there's a lot of people who want to come here and have their dream come true, but I sort of really do sit back on what I said earlier about being grounded in the work I've done this year and enjoyed it all. That to come here and have a chance to try is really that's the thing I'm really happy about.
That's awesome, and I can feel that that's genuine.
Good.
Right? So that's great.
Yeah, there's no scripting from a psychologist here.
What are you most looking forward to after the race on Saturday?
Obviously the prize giving.
The speech, maybe?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that. I'm looking forward to, the thing I want the most is to be able to share the success with the people who put the work in. So that's one of the things that I strive for, is not to win for myself, but to win to reward, my husband, my coaches, my agent, like my family. And I know that's not what they want necessarily, the outcome, but that's what I want to give them.
That's great. Because the reality is when you don't perform, you feel that weight, right? Like you wanted to give them something better.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's embarrassment and guilt and shame, even though that's not what they would want, but that's there.
And they don't feel that at all.
No,
I know that, right?
For sure.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to watch you and all your support team have a good time on Saturday night and Sunday.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for chatting.
Thank you.
Okay, we're here with Chelsea Sodaro. She's won here before, and she's back to do it again. Is she back to do it again?
It's been a really crazy year, and I'm just happy to be here. Yeah.
Good. Love that answer. And you validated late, right?
Yeah, that was a little rough. I've had like every preschool virus one can get this year, and then I tore my calf. So I was not planning to validate 8 weeks ago, but I did.
Yeah.
And I went to IRONMAN Kalmar, Sweden, which is a spectacular race. Ironman is very hard when you haven't trained for Ironman. I learned. So it was like a gritty day, but got it done. And now I've had some time to prepare a little better, hopefully.
That's sweet. And looking at, it seemed like one of your best swims.
I swim really well there. Yeah. There was a woman there, Hannah Monday.
Yeah.
I think I'm pronouncing her name right. She is a stud swimmer, and I got on her feet, and it was awesome. Yeah, the water is spectacular there. It's super clear. They have all of these jellyfish that are friendly.
Friendly jellyfish.
They don't sting you.
Dude, that's exciting. Are they cute?
Isn't that cool? I mean, yeah, they're like little pink ones, and they so it was kind of nice. Yeah, it was.
Dude,
good.
I want to go to Kalmar now.
It's a Pro Series race next year, which
cute.
is super exciting because the crowds are amazing. They have an awesome midnight finish. Everyone should go.
So maybe we'll see you in Kalmar next year.
I don't know. I'm hoping that I will validate sooner than that next year. The TBD.
That is fair.
Yeah.
And I know, like, not going past those struggles you had earlier in the year, right? Like, that is challenging, and that's kind of part of the professional sport that people don't necessarily see, especially people that have started a family, right? Like, dealing with sickness and injury is kind of part of the game, and it sucks.
Totally. You know, I when we had our daughter, I really was quite concerned with the initial postpartum period and like the newborn thing and the baby thing, but I didn't necessarily think I would still be doing this when she was a real proper person.
Right.
You know, she's 4.5 now.
Yeah.
And she started school, and I think everyone gets sick for the whole first year that their kid is in school, and we were no exception to that. And then I think when you're sick a lot, it's like also hard to stay structurally healthy, you know, when you're like
Sure.
in sort of that compromised immunity sort of state. So yeah, it's been really tough.
Yeah, and all that happens, and we know, you know, if somebody was to ask you what's the most important part of training for an Ironman, you'd say consistency.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
And that's kind of out the window when that happens. But it sounds like your last block has been pretty good.
Yeah, my last block was really fun. I had 4 dudes supporting me here for my training camp, which was really cool, and got in some good volume, and yeah, have like done the best I could with what I have.
There you go. And was that calf injury holdover from Nice last year, or was that a different
No,
injury?
this happened at 78.3 Happy Valley. Yeah, I've never had anything like that before.
Shoot, and it's feeling good now?
I'm feeling, pretty good.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how does it feel to be back in Kona for the last edition of Women's Only? Because I know 2 years ago when we talked, you know, we talked about the fact that it, you know, it feels like a warm hug being here. Like everybody's so supportive, and mothers supporting mothers, and people realizing that it's not just about getting, you know, it's not about performance, it's about getting the finish line, right? Like, is it special to be here for the last version of that race?
You know, I just love this island so much, and it's such a privilege to have the opportunity to race here, regardless of who's in the field. You know, whether it's an all women's race or what it will be next year, which is both genders. And of course, like at this phase of my career, I really want, you know, a fair, clean, professional women's race.
Yeah, awesome. I think we're gonna get it.
I think
Saturday.
so. Yeah,
That's
it's gonna be
awesome.
great.
So, you know, your win here was impressive to see. Just the way you raced and the way you back half the marathon. Like, it was, once you got up on the Queen K, it felt like that was destiny to a certain extent. Like that was it. And as you've said, things haven't gone necessarily as smoothly since then in your prep because life happens, right? And how does it feel to come into the race in that headspace? And are you still, like, I know you kind of dodged the am I here to win question, but coming knowing that maybe you aren't in as good of position as you prefer to, I'm assuming from what you said, how do you approach the race on Saturday to get the most out of yourself and still try to possibly win a world championship?
I think I approach every race the same, which is that I am here to execute my best swim, bike, and run and give everything. And, you know, I think when you win a title on the biggest stage there is in our sport, which is here in Kona, you open yourself up to a lot of criticism and opinions. And the reality is that I always give everything. You know, like in 2023, I was quite injured and had a really rough bike and got off the bike in 22nd and buried myself to get 6th. And then last year in Nice, you know, I had a cracked patella, and I put myself in the medical tent to get 3rd, right? Like, that's just what I do regardless of the circumstances. So I have like confidence that I'll do that again.
I love that because it is impressive. As I said, the stature that you had when you won was no different than the stature that you had when you had those battles, right?
You know, I think that, like, of course, life changes when you have a big result on a big stage, but like, I'm still the same athlete that I've been forever, which is somebody who is a perfectionist and super driven and determined and surrounds herself with really amazing people. and 2 is gritty and gives everything. Yeah, and I'm still doing that. What a gift to be like, I guess I'm like 8 or 9 years into this thing, and it's a like proper job, which is rad.
Yeah, and it seems like you use the word gift, and I don't know if it's a gift, but it seems like this race, to a certain extent, maybe it's the professionalism that you have, but it seems to draw your attention and bring out that part of you that wants to line up against the best, do what you do, put yourself in a hole, and see where you line up. Why does this race bring that out of you?
You know, I came here in 2018 before I'd ever even done a long distance race. I came here with a training partner at the time, and I just got off the plane and I loved it. And I think a lot of people don't have that experience. You know, it takes them a while to kind of figure out the conditions and the terrain, but I just it lit a fire in me. And yeah, it makes me feel alive to be here. Yeah.
That's awesome. And it seems like you've always, I am impressed by your gumption, because again, the fact that you got third with a patella crack in your patella is insane. But it seems like you always, no matter what happens, you always put together enough prep to come to World Championships to be a part of the race, right? And it looks different. Like, you know, I remember seeing you when you were 6, half marathon in, and you know, you weren't where you wanted to be, and you never held back. But it's because of, obviously, you put in enough prep to put yourself in that position.
That's because this is the only race that anybody cares about the entire year. You know? I mean, let's be real, right?
Yeah.
It's great to have, you know, flashy performances mid-season, but nobody really cares. Of course, there's like a lot of excitement around the Pro Series, which I had planned to do this year and couldn't quite pull off. But I think like this is what everybody has circled on their calendar, and yeah, so do I.
Yeah, and it's in the past you've said part of the reason that you enjoy it is that everybody brings their A game, and
yeah,
it seems now there's a lot of A game.
Yeah.
And a lot of is it rad? And I think you were, you know, obviously one of the women that, you know, continued to push the level up. Is it rad to see that just continue the ceiling, just to continue to get higher?
Yeah, you know, I think a rising tide lifts all ships, and there's just more and more opportunity for us, especially with, you know, things like the Pro Series happening, where there's more money getting put into the professional side of the sport. There is more media attention on the women. I mean, look at all of you guys here elevating the sport. So it's such a great time to be doing this.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you sitting down and chatting with us. And no doubt we're going to see you going to the well on Saturday.
Thanks, Matt.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great stuff from those two women. Certainly, Kat has gone through a lot to get where she is today, as has Chelsea the last couple of years, as she said, through injury and a little bit of illness. So excited to see what these two champions have in store. We know Kat, there's a lot of expectations coming from the outside. She just expects herself to give it her all on race day, and I can't wait to watch those two women tear it up on the race course. Again, another special Ironman Insider podcast. Really appreciate the support from Morton. Couldn't do it without him. And keep an eye on this spot. We've got more podcasts coming to you from Kona.